But we wanted to get into an article from rigosrag.com. The headline, it kind of jumps out at you. Jahan Dotson has Tyreek Hill potential in Eric Bieniemy's Commanders offense.
Well, he doesn't have those quicks. Like Tyreek Hill is on another level.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally there isn't anybody
There's no one like him. Right.
But if they're going to use him in that Tyreek Hill role, I think he certainly has the skill set that they can exploit it.
The article says not many NFL wide receivers compared to Tyreek Hill, but Jahan Dotson can carry the same level of threat for the Washington Commanders in coordinator Eric Bieniemy's offense. Specifically, the dynamic wide receiver can become a big play specialist from the slot.
Right.
He's definitely a big play guy. The guy had 7 touchdowns and 35 catches.
Right.
So 1 out of every 5 catches for him last year, that's going to be very hard to duplicate, was a touchdown.
Yep.
And he gave you 15 yards a catch.
And he's got great hands.
And I was looking back at his college stats now. He really came on as a senior.
Yeah.
That's the only season he went for over 1,000 yards.
Look at his game log against the Terps.
But if you look at his yards per catch in the earlier seasons, they were all above 15. 15.6, 18.1, 17.0. Now, the last season, he had 91 catches.
Yeah.
So the average came down to 13. But he's a big play guy.
Yeah.
And he also had punt returns for touchdowns when he was given the chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, I told you guys right after the draft, I texted Trace because they cross paths for, I think they overlapped for a year. And he said Dotson's just a stud. I mean, really good kid and just a stud, never drops balls, really good speed. And then, the numbers he was putting up in the last couple of years at Penn State, I guess Sean Clifford was his quarterback, but he's just really good. If you can get the ball to him, he's going to put up numbers.
He's already proven that if he stays healthy, he's
got
going
to
to
stay
be
on the field,
a
right.
monster.
Yeah.
Even
as far as I'm concerned.
This next line in the article is where it's about to become eggplant time for you.
All
Sitting
right.
to my right. Replicating what he had in Kansas City won't be easy for Bieniemy, who worked with more talent for the Chiefs. Yet, there are intriguing possibilities, including tight end Cole Turner taking on a Travis Kelce-like role.
I'm telling you, they love Cole. They loved him last year. He just got hurt. That's the only thing. And, Logan's leaving an opening here by slowly coming. I think they're doing it intentionally, slowly coming back from this calf. They're giving Cole all the opportunity in the world to showcase his ability. I think Cole Turner is going to be a factor in the offense.
Getting back to what?
Now, Dave Richard wouldn't subscribe to a lot of this praise.
He probably would not.
He's not high on any of them.
Yeah.
But getting back to what Dave did say about Terry McLaurin's toe. Okay.
I agree with him. I think it's going to be a nagging thing.
Do you think it's going to really hamper him for, half the year?
I think for first few weeks it could, yeah.
That's big.
I think, of course. I think turf toe, and they basically said it's turf toe. It's just depends on the severity of it.
So they did officially say it's turf toe.
Basically.
I need to find the Ron quotes because the Ron quotes were not that encouraging.
He threw in for the most part.
Yeah, when you throw it for the most part, everything looks good.
I heard J.P. Finley play the quotes yesterday, so they must be in a computer somewhere.
I think for the most part, again, Terry's X-rays were negative. His MRI showed the same thing for the most part. So we'll continue to just monitor that.
For the most part, that means there's something there.
And the treatments and stuff. And, we're going to keep him off his feet for a couple more days and then start getting him ready once we get into next week.
I'm kind of close to putting Terry McLaurin on my FUBAR list for the season.
I mean,
it's close.
For the most part, is definitely scary. Like,
it means there's something there.
If I had a tenant, I'm a landlord, and the tenant said, I can pay the rent for the most part, I would be distraught.
There would be a level of concern.
For the most part, I got the rent covered.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking enough about that. I think that's a big deal.
It's a big issue.
I think they're
for
playing it.
Especially for a younger, inexperienced quarterback who really needs those weapons out there to make plays.
Although Diami's looked good. And he's got a connection with Diami.
Okay, but he's not
Terry McLaurin.
No.
Yeah, he's half the player.
Further down in the article, the key to unlocking Dotson's X-Factor potential is giving him more slot snaps. He played just 121 snaps in the slot as a rookie. That number is a far cry from the 331 slot snaps that Tyreek Hill got during his final season with the Chiefs in 2021. So it sounds like, especially if McLaurin is sidelined and you give Dotson a bunch of slot snaps, it could be liftoff time
If
for
they
him.
use
Let
him
me
in
just
slot,
tell-
because
let me
Curtis
just tell
Samuel's
you-
kind of a slot guy too,
But you
though,
know
at
what?
times.
He's not as good as Jahan Dotson.
I understand that.
He's just not
Let
as
me
good
tell
a
you
player.
a number, a bet that I think is an absolute lock if
Okay.
he stays healthy.
All right.
Jahan Dotson over 725 receiving yards.
Oh, I think
think that's
stealing.
I think you're stealing money
You're
there.
just taking the money and stuffing it in
People,
your pants.
if you could get that prop in now, because that will probably go up.
I'm going to get it in during the
I
next
agree
break.
with you, but Valdez's point is well taken.
I understand. I
that
understand.
The thing that screws you on all these is injury.
Of course.
Understood.
I just
That's-
think I think you take that chance
That's a
with this
risk
one.
you always have to take if you're betting on NFL players.
I'm not,
They get
I'm not
injured
saying I
all the
would go
time.
over on every single receiver. I just think that particular one, now that McLaurin might be out for a few games,
I think
I
even
just- I
with
just think it's
McLaurin
a good-
there, I think even
with
McLaurin
them there, yeah.
they could each have over 1,000. Let's say they both stay healthy, they could each have over 1,000 yards. I don't think that's asking too
I agree
much.
with Matt for the most part. I just think with this particular situation,
It's worth the risk.
and if he gets hurt,
thing,
if he gets hurt, then you're obviously
I
screwed.
think the same thing about the Howell yardage. I think it's absurdly low for a quarterback. All these quarterbacks, they're basically projecting are going to play 17 games because you can't predict injury. So
even if Howell was injured or was benched, and Brissett's in there, Brissett's going to throw it to Dotson.
yeah, and he's going to catch it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, the thing I'm most excited about is how in the preseason, beyond just like how like looking the part and making the throws and just showing that he can do this, I think it's just that the offense has been even though they haven't scored a lot of touchdowns, I just feel like it's been opened up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's more downfield throwing. There's more like 20-yard stuff over the middle. I don't know.
The offense needed a major shakeup. I mean, that's why Bieniemy was brought in.
And he hasn't even really schemed anything. He's just got.
He hasn't even shown you any of the real
showed
wrinkles
nothing.
yet.
He's just got guys, running the routes correctly, being spaced out correctly. I can't remember who was it that we had on. Maybe it was John Keim that pointed out how many times did we see last year, like two receivers kind of in the same area.
Mhm.
It's like not on the same page, like a jumbled mess. I don't think we're seeing that. It looks totally different.
That's Vegas's problem now because that's where Scott Turner is. He's 2,000 plus miles away.
Right.
Can't muddy up the offense any longer.
What if Dave Richards right, though, and the offensive line is just an absolute disaster?
Well, then it's going to be a terrible
Then everything
year.
falls apart.
Yeah.
It'll
And I
hurt.
think that's a possibility. I think
the offensive line's mediocre, but I do think that they'll just have to do more quick game, and they'll just have to add blockers. And in that situation, you can do that.
You have to trust in Bieniemy's ability to adapt to a bad offensive line.
Yeah. They'll move the pocket.
They'll just have to
They'll have
work
to
around
roll
it.
them out. There'll be more design runs probably.
A lot of quick game.
A lot of quick game.
Quick game is going to be
You ask any coach, what do you do when your offensive line's getting overwhelmed? Quick game.
right.
It's the only choice.
3-step drops max. No 5 or 7s.
It's not ideal.
Throw those out.
But you do have options.
Mhm.
This is what I've
But you got to be able
recited.
to recognize
Run
it.
pass options, RPOs.
And then I got clued into this in 2022 from Connor Allen, who is an analytics guy. So there's 6 categories that he tracked: rushing touchdowns, passing yards, passing touchdowns, receiving yards, rushing yards. So the under rate on rushing touchdowns, the under rate is 76.4%. Passing yards, the under rate of the props hitting is 74%.
Big numbers.
Passing touchdowns, 74%. Receiving yards, the under rate is 65%. Rushing yards, the under rate is 64%.
So just
all of these obviously overs hit.
Is that just one?
Yeah.
Is that just 1 year, or that's like a 10-year history or something?
That was the
2022.
That was
22 season.
2022 season.
No, and Matt, I understand what you're saying, but that's playing all of the unders of all the players.
So let's do it. We talked about it last year. Let's play all the unders. Let's play the entire board.
You're going to play every single player under?
Yeah,
You'll have no money left.
10 grand or something.
Right.
Yeah, but
$100 on everyone.
But I'm just talking about one particular player and one particular
I know
stat.
you're picking a spot.
I mean, that's if he plays a full season, and maybe he doesn't, but if he did, that's 42 yards a game to go over 725.
I agree with you.
So I'm just saying for that particular player, that particular stat, I do love it.
The last line in the article says deploying Dotson's speed inside more often is the best way to manufacture big plays. The Commanders' passing attack, led by quarterback Sam Howell, needs to succeed.
But they might want Sam Howell. I mean, they might want Sam Howell to throw to Jahan Dotson on the outside. I get that this particular author is saying utilize him more in the slot, but given what they have, and let's say McLaurin is hurt, they probably would prefer Dotson on the outside where he can still make plays and use some of the other guys in the slot.
But if he's more effective inside and that's a better role for him and they can manufacture bigger plays because they're matching him up with slow linebackers and safeties, Bieniemy will play to that mismatch, I would think. They're going to use him all over the formation. He's going to take slot snaps, outside snaps.
I think so.
I would imagine he'd be doing end arounds from time to time. They're going to utilize him a lot.
His target number will go way up.
Oh, it's going to be really high.
It should anyway.
I would guess.
If it was 61 last year, it should be in the 90s.
You're kind
hundreds.
of avoiding it, though. I want you to say that you would go over on the Howell passing yards, too.
I'm not going to say that.
How much
you
was
don't
it?
love it.
Although
it was less than 3,200. I think
it was just over 3,000.
It was just over 3,000. I mean,
I'm looking
the
at
only reason why you wouldn't do that is because you're convinced he's going to get benched.
Well, and also what
and the
Valdez says, the injuries.
All the quarterbacks get hurt.
Injuries benched. Like Davis Mills last year, I'm going to comp Howell to Davis Mills. Played 15 games, 3,118 yards.
I think he's better than Davis Mills.
That's an over.
More factors have to go right for an over to hit.
That's true.
I
Mac Jones.
understand that. I'm not arguing the philosophy.
Mac Jones, 14 games, 2,997 yards.
But I'm doing Jason's philosophy. I'm assuming that risk. It's a known. It might be a bad bet in terms of health, but in terms of if he plays the 17 games, he's soaring over that.
Got to play the 17 games. I would agree.